How's it going, you guys? So in this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about yerba mate. So yerba mate is one of my favorite herbs. I made quite a few videos on yerba mate over the years. I have videos on some of the scientific properties behind it, some of the scientific studies behind it, the mechanisms of action behind a lot of its polyphenols, and the vitamin and mineral content, the amino acid content, etc. So, right off the bat, what are yerba mate's benefits? So yerba mate is an excellent caffeinated beverage for people who do not enjoy the jittery effects of things like coffee and isolated caffeine supplements and energy drinks and things like that. A big reason why coffee tends to cause jitters in people is because it has compounds besides caffeine that tend to stimulate the nervous system in a very, let's just say, it leans more towards cortisol rather than dopamine and neuroepinephrine or noradrenaline. For those of you who don't understand what I mean by that, you should definitely check out my video where I break down the catecholamine cascade and how your body uses amino acids to turn it into things like dopamine and neuroepinephrine, or cortisol and adrenaline. So yerba mate definitely boosts your brain in a way that keeps you calm, keeps you focused, it can give you euphoria if you brew it the right way, and you drink the right amount that's right for you. Again, I have another video on the dosage of yerba mate and how to maximize yerba mate's benefits. That's the title of the video, how to maximize yerba mate's benefits. But it can it can create euphoria. It can give you an experience of euphoria, kind of like a high or a buzz in a way. It's not addictive. It doesn't really create the same kind of like withdrawal symptoms that a lot of caffeinated beverages do. So a big reason why yerba mate creates such a unique profile of mental stimulating effects is because of the synergistic compounds found in the plant. So of course it contains caffeine, but it also contains certain antioxidants like caffeoleic acid, which I believe I made a video back in 2015 talking about it. Caffeic acid, which is also found in coffee, and it also contains polyphenols that act similarly to ECGC found in green tea. It has a variety of amino acids, including things like tyrosine, or more so phenylalanine. And for those of you who are not familiar with phenylalanine, so phenylalanine is the very first amino acid in the catecholamine cascade, and it can convert into dopamine and the focus increasing neurotransmitter noradrenaline or norepinephrine. Okay. And the thing that's unique about containing phenylalanine is the fact that it also contains the synergistic nutrients that act as cofactors along with phenylalanine, so that it encourages the conversion of tyrosine and to L-DOPA, to dopamine, to noradrenaline. And so things like vitamin C, magnesium, calcium, potassium, vitamin B6 and B1, these nutrients, unless of course like I'm misspeaking because it's been a while since I studied the dopamine pathway, but these work together with phenylalanine to convert step by step later on into dopamine and then into noradrenaline. And without these synergistic nutrients in combination with a stressed emotional state, it actually can encourage the conversion of tyrosine into adrenaline and cortisol, the stress neurotransmitters. So without these cofactors, these amino acids can directly convert into problematic, stressful compounds, rather than the helpful ones like dopamine and noradrenaline. So yes, I am holding 2 unopened packages of guayaki, my bad. I personally don't. This is not my favorite brand, but it's one of the green version is my favorite. So I enjoy the raw unroasted plant. Okay, guayaki is not my first choice, but it is a good brand. Okay, it's a great brand. I believe it's overpriced, relatively speaking, although because it's certified organic, I believe that can justify the price. Typically, if something's certified organic or certified non-GMO, the company actually has to pay an extra price for that. But these are the roasted traditional. I personally like the raw green brand, I think they call it Suave, style of yerba mate, the unroasted. The reason why is because I like the flavor profile better, and I believe one of the reasons why yerba mate was associated with throat cancer, besides the fact that people tend to, and people in South America tend to drink it super hot, is because it contains compounds from the smoking process, such as heterocyclic amines and other compounds, other carcinogenic compounds that can be created from the roasting process. Although I don't believe that it's really as problematic, because these compounds that are created from the smoking process, they create free radicals in your body when you ingest them. But when you also consume powerful antioxidants on the side, typically these can quench these free radicals, these reactive oxygen species. And so I believe the antioxidant content of yerba mate can cancel out some of the potentially inflammatory or carcinogenic compounds in yerba mate. But to be on the safe side, to increase the overall net benefit of the antioxidants in yerba mate, you would probably want to be consuming the raw, unroasted version. So stimulating the mind in a very productive fashion, increasing productivity, that is the hugest benefit of yerba mate. There's a couple others though. Yerba mate seems to stimulate digestion, or more so bowel function, in a way that's similar to coffee, but not the way that coffee would typically do on people that have sensitive bowels, people with irritable bowel syndrome and things like that, or chronic dumping syndrome, who drink coffee and then immediately run to the restroom like uncontrollably. That doesn't happen with yerba mate. Yerba mate you can think of as soothing the digestive system, and in fact, I find when I go to buffets, for example, when I go to buffets, I will bring yerba mate with me, or really any restaurant that I can safely order a hot cup of water, and they don't freak out when I like pour some of this into my cup. And I bring a filter straw with me, a bombilla, which is it's a spoon straw with a filter on it, so I could pour this loose leaf yerba mate into the hot cup and then drink it through a filter straw without worrying about the leaves getting into my mouth. I'll take that to a restaurant, and it really helps the digestion of some of these heavier foods. So if you just pig out on like 3 pounds of like meat at the buffet, or sushi at a buffet, or like a pound of barbacoa at a Mexican restaurant, and then you drink some yerba mate afterwards, I find it definitely removes that full feeling that you get where you're like, lethargic. Yerba mate counteracts that. It kind of soothes your stomach to where you don't feel that bloated feeling, and then it kind of like soothes my mind to where I feel relaxed rather than like stuffed, sluggish, and lethargic. And I believe it also like improves the digestion of that food to where within an hour or so, like it's digested. I think it improves the efficiency of the digestive system. And a lot of that probably has to do with the low but existing tannin content. It's not like black tea where you have such high tannins that it like constricts your stomach, which might be good, might be bad for digestion. But some of the other compounds in yerba mate probably are to blame. There's a lot of good science on that as well, on the gastric emptying and things of that nature. So, but I definitely find subjectively a drastic improvement in the efficiency of digestion with yerba mate. So I highly recommend it for people that want an awesome drink that they can drink where they don't feel like it contributes to fatigue or adrenal fatigue, or it doesn't interfere with sleep. Maybe in the beginning when you first start drinking it, you might notice it interferes with sleep, but after a while, it's almost like yerba mate has like an adaptogenic effect where it can stimulate you at first, but then as your body gets used to it, it starts to balance you out over time. And people in South America typically, if you look up Circle a Drink on YouTube, shout out to Dave Mate from circleadrink.com. Check out his YouTube channel and listen to some of the things he says about yerba mate and how over time it's almost like it connects to his soul. Essentially, he believes it works like an adaptogen, and I definitely would say that that's probably true. Now, a lot of people would be saying, oh, the caffeine content, there's no way it can be calming because of that. Well, look, just like with green tea, these plants, when you consume the whole plant form, they contain other synergistic compounds on the side that typically will work in synergy with the caffeine to where it can boost creativity and things like that and calm you rather than just stimulating you, because caffeine is only one molecule. If you just take theanine, for example, it can put you to sleep, or it can make you feel really like calm. If you take caffeine, or if you take theanine with caffeine in the proper dosages, which are found in the plant, then you can actually feel stimulated, or you can actually feel focused and calm at the same time because the caffeine and the theanine work synergistically. So it's very important for people to understand, just because something contains a sedative doesn't mean it's going to sedate you. And just because something contains a stimulant doesn't mean it's going to stimulate you, depending on the dosages and what plant we're talking about, of course. I also believe a lot of people who drank yerba mate for a long time, they always, like a lot of them say that it doesn't actually contain caffeine because of how different of a buzz it is from other caffeinated plants. They think there's no way that it contains caffeine. They think it contains something called matine, which they claim is a special version of caffeine to the yerba mate plant. But that's not true. Caffeine has been isolated out of the yerba mate plant in scientific studies. So we know that it does contain caffeine and not like some unique metabolite or something called matine. The other thing is I am wondering if maybe the roasting process of certain plants oxidize certain nutrients. Well, we know it does oxidize the plant. And that might actually change the effects of the plant. So if you feel too stimulated drinking roasted yerba mate, try drinking a unroasted raw mate. Like the Nativa brand, it's actually a wild version that contains less caffeine, and it's unroasted. Or you can just get whatever and just make sure it's the unroasted green plant. Echo Teas makes a really good one. Mate Factor is probably my favorite. But Guayaki also has like a raw, unroasted version as well. So, what else? So that's pretty much it. Leave your question and comments down below. I love yerba mate. Oh, and the other thing, some of my top favorite brands, I would say, I like Rosamante, I like Canarius, but I love Nativa, I love Echo Teas, and Mate Factor is probably my number one, but it's very hard to find the unroasted loose leaf version of that. But Mate Factor is amazing, and I think it's relatively expensive because it's certified organic. But Nativa, Echo Teas, and Mate Factor are probably my top three favorites. But I believe I've heard Anna Park is pretty good. Actually, I think I actually had a sample of that. I had like an 8 ounce that came free at my Bombisha. So I've tried Cruz Del Monte. I'm not a fan. It makes me feel too brain foggy, jittery, burnt out. But leave your questions, comments down below. Let us all know what your favorite Yerba Mate brand is, and what your experience is, and what your benefits that you've gotten from Yerba Mate is. And I'll talk to you all next time.